We live in interesting times.
For the headlines.
Fresh deaths and a surge in coronavirus cases in Iran, Japan, and South Korea fuel fears of a pandemic as the disease took root in some of the world's poorest and worst equipped countries.
Egypt's former longtime president Hosni Mubarak died Tuesday at age 91 at Cairo's Gala Military Hospital.
In Hawaii, a stabbing incident took place Monday morning at a high school about 31 kilometers north of Honolulu, leaving 2 students injured and another student in police custody. Our ABC correspondent Ron Hamilton will give us the details.
Thousands of celebrities, athletes, family members, and fans pour into the Staples Center in Los Angeles to honor basketball great Kobe Bryant.
I'm Alma Angeles, wherever you're watching from around the world. Thank you very much for joining us.
We welcome our viewers here in the Philippines and around the world. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Cepeda.
And now to the news. The World Health Organization has warned the new coronavirus has peaked in China but could still grow into a pandemic as infections mushroom in other countries.
This is a time for all countries, communities, families, and individuals to focus on preparing. We do not live in a binary black and white world. It's not either or. We must focus on containment while doing everything we can to prepare for a potential pandemic.
An acceleration of cases in other parts of the world has prompted similar drastic measures. Italy has locked down 11 towns or more, and South Korea ordered the entire 2.5 million residents of the city of Daegu to remain indoors. The spread of the COVID-19 continued unabated, with Afghanistan, Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait, and Oman announcing their first cases on Monday. China also continued its preventive measures against the virus on Monday, postponing its agenda-setting annual parliament meeting for the first time since the Cultural Revolution in the 1960s. In China, 2,592 people have died out of 77,000 infections.
The novel coronavirus outbreak in South Korea is very grave, says President Moon Jae-in, wearing the uniform of a government emergency official. Moon was speaking at a meeting with government officials in Daegu. The Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or KCDC, confirmed 144 new infections, taking the tally to 977. The largest national total anywhere outside China where the virus first emerged.
매우 엄중하기 때문에 특별 재난 지역 선포만으로는 충분하지 않을 것입니다. 문제는 시간과 속도입니다. 이번 주 안으로 확진자 증가세에 뚜렷한 변곡점을 만들어내야 할 것입니다. 오늘 저녁부터 국무총리가 중앙재난안전대책본부장으로서 직접 이곳에 상주하며 현장을 진두지휘할 것입니다.
President Moon Jae-in today put the country on the highest possible level 4 alert in its fight against COVID-19. The move empowers Moon's government to lock down cities and take other drastic measures to contain the disease. Scores of events have been canceled or postponed as the outbreak has spread in the world's 12th largest economy, from K-pop concerts to the start of the K-League football season, with casualties on Tuesday including parliamentary sessions and the World Team Table Tennis Championships. More than 80% of the infections have been in South Korea's 4th largest city, Daegu, and neighboring North Gyeongsang province. South Korea's Ministry of Foreign Affairs revealed today that 12 countries have banned or strengthened their entry procedures from Korea due to concerns over the country's surge in COVID-19 cases.
Meanwhile, Italy reported its 7th death from the new coronavirus. The country has put at least a dozen towns under lockdown. Italy is scrambling to stop the spread of the novel coronavirus within its borders as cases of COVID-19 soar, making it the most infected country outside Asia. As of Tuesday morning, 7 people in Italy had died from the disease. Take a look. The Italian government is under pressure to suspend free movement between neighboring countries as the virus threatens to spread across Central Europe.
Sarebbe stato inutile, lo è ancora di più oggi, adottare delle restrizioni e dei controlli alle frontiere sospendendo il Trattato di Schengen. Abbiamo condiviso tutti insieme le ragioni, abbiamo spiegato i dati, abbiamo ragionato come e perché, hanno tutti condiviso sul fatto che è una misura che non è alla nostra portata, completamente inefficace, completamente non sostenibile e non perseguibile.
Now, panic is also taking hold in the nearby city of Milan, the engine room of Italy's economy, home to 1.3 million people in the nation's world-renowned fashion industry. Worried residents have emptied shelves in a number of supermarkets, although supplies were still available in most stores in the city center. The spread of the virus has disrupted high-profile events including Milan Fashion Week and the Venice Carnival. On Monday evening, Sports Minister Vincenzo Spadafora announced that 6 Serie A football matches would also be played behind closed doors. And in Milan, operas have also had to be canceled, the city's famed La Scala. Masses in Catholic churches across the affected regions have been canceled and funerals limited to immediate relatives only. The country has also reported its first cases in its central and southern regions. A man tested positive in Tuscany. According to Il Tempo newspaper, Nello Musumeci, the president of the autonomous Italian island of Sicily, said on Facebook that a woman was also brought to the hospital after showing symptoms. La Repubblica reported that of the 229 confirmed cases, 99 people are hospitalized with symptoms, 23 people are intensive care, and 91 are isolated in their homes and displaying symptoms.
Production of the latest film in the Mission Impossible series starring Tom Cruise has been stopped in Italy following the coronavirus outbreak, Paramount Pictures said Monday. The 7th installment of the franchise was scheduled to shoot in Venice for 3 weeks, the first location for production. A Paramount spokesperson said in a statement, and I quote, "Out of an abundance of caution for the safety and well-being of our cast and crew and efforts of the local Venetian government to halt public gatherings in response to the threat of coronavirus, we are altering the production plan for our 3-week shoot in Venice." The spokesperson added that crew members were allowed to return home until production resumed. Mission Impossible the 7th is due in theaters on July 23, 2021.
Meanwhile, the novel coronavirus has claimed 3 more lives in Iran, according to state media, taking the country's overall death toll from the outbreak to 15. The highest outside China. Now, Iran has been scrambling to contain COVID-19 since Wednesday when it announced its first 2 deaths in Qom, a center for Islamic studies and pilgrims that attracts scholars from abroad. 2 of the dead were elderly women in the central province of Markazi, and the other was a patient in the northern province of Al-Borz, according to state news agency IRNA. According to IRNA, there are 2 more confirmed cases hospitalized in Al-Borz. Iran has now confirmed 61 cases of coronavirus infection so far.
Hundreds of people were confined to their rooms at a Tenerife hotel Tuesday after an Italian tourist was hospitalized with a suspected case of coronavirus, health officials in the Canary Islands said. The archipelago's health authorities announced late on Monday that an Italian man had tested positive for coronavirus and was being kept in isolation while his results undergo a second analysis in Madrid as required by Spain's protocol for suspected cases of the disease. A British guest at the H10 Costa Adeje Palace Hotel, where the Italian man was staying, who did not want to be named, told AFP by telephone that he and other guests had received a notice telling them to stay in their rooms. We regret to inform you that for health reasons, the hotel is being closed down. You must remain in your rooms until the health authorities say so, said a text in Spanish, English, French, Italian, and German, a copy of which was sent to AFP. The management could not be reached for comment. According to its website, the hotel has 467 rooms, 4 outdoor pools, as well as 2 jacuzzis. The scare came as hotels across the Canary Islands were packed with guests who had flown in for the traditional February Carnival festivities. Spain had so far registered 2 confirmed cases of coronavirus, both in foreign tourists.
A 4th person has died in Japan after becoming ill aboard a coronavirus-stricken cruise ship, according to local media, as the government vowed new measures to fight the outbreak. Nearly 700 people on board the Diamond Princess, which spent 2 weeks quarantined off Japan, have so far tested positive for the virus. 4 people who were hospitalized after being taken off the ship have died. The latest, a man in his 80s, according to local media. The Yomiuri Shimbun Daily said the man had tested positive for the new coronavirus and died of pneumonia. The health ministry declined to comment on the reports. 3 others, all Japanese, have so far died after becoming sick on the ship. 2 were confirmed to have the new coronavirus, while the health ministry declined to comment on the diagnosis of the 3rd. Japan has come under increasing pressure over its handling of the ship, particularly after it emerged that some passengers allowed to disembark after testing negative were subsequently diagnosed with the virus. The health ministry has acknowledged that some of the disembarking passengers were not even tested during the quarantine period.
The World Health Organization warns countries to be ready for a potential pandemic as new deaths and infections in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia triggered more drastic efforts to contain the new coronavirus. Bruce Aylward, leader of a joint WHO China mission of experts, said speed is everything.
Speed is everything. And you know, what worries me most, sorry, I didn't catch your name, but what worries me most is, has the rest of the world learned the lesson of speed? You know, we have outbreaks in multiple countries right now increasing at exponential growth rates. And you've seen what that does. You know, this is the difference between getting on top in every other area and exponential growth in one area. It's devastating. The most important message is don't be complacent as cases decline. That's the bottom line. A huge part of the world, and China, is still susceptible to this virus. It's a new virus, so people don't have immunity to it. So cases have gone down, but there's still a lot of people who are vulnerable, and has gone down through a massive effort. It can come back up, and it will require really rapid work again. And sometimes when we're used to dealing with the virus, we get complacent. It's as simple as that, and that is always the single biggest risk. The investments that are being made in hospital beds, manages, ventilators, in vaccines, it has to continue because, as Dr. Liang said, this is a tricky and dangerous virus, and complacency is the single biggest risk. Thinking you've beaten this virus is the single biggest risk.
The World Health Organization also warned that the new coronavirus might be around for months, but said the measures China implemented have prevented the infections of hundreds of thousands of people. But Dr. Aylward maintained that the main risk for any government was being too complacent.
So the last point on China is where next, as these numbers come down, because it is already starting to bolster its economy again, reopen schools in the near future, maybe some weeks, but obviously they want to get society back to a more normal semblance of what's the best way to put this? Probably the new normal, because this virus may be around, we were talking today, Dr. Liang and I, for months. That brings us to the last point in terms of the global response. We will gain a bit of time, but we have to be using that time better than we are today. In this country, outside, we have long lists of research projects and studies, but we've got to prioritize those things that could get the knowledge we need to stop this faster and the tools we need to reduce the morbidity and mortality.
The spread of COVID-19 in other parts of the world has accelerated over the past week, with Iran, South Korea, and Italy emerging as the worst new hotspots. Deaths were reported in each of those countries on Monday, while Afghanistan, Bahrain, and Kuwait also announced their first cases of the virus.
Eagle News, we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Hanggang ngayon, gabay natin ang MTRCB ratings sa matalino at responsableng panonood.
Egypt's former longtime president Hosni Mubarak died on Tuesday at the age of 91 at Cairo's Gela Military Hospital, according to his brother-in-law, General Munir Thabet. Thabet, a former high-ranking military official, confirmed the family was still at the hospital and said the Egyptian presidential office would organize the funeral. Throughout Hosni Mubarak's rule, he was a stalwart U.S. ally, a bulwark against armed groups, and guardian of Egypt's peace with Israel. But to the tens of thousands of young Egyptians who rallied for 18 days of unprecedented street protests in Cairo's central Tahrir Square and elsewhere in 2011, Mubarak was a relic, a latter-day pharaoh. Mubarak was in power from 1981 until he was overthrown in 2011. That was amid the region's Arab Spring protests.
A car that rammed into a carnival procession in central Germany Monday injured 52 people, including 18 children, police said, adding that the perpetrator's motive remains unclear. A 29-year-old local man plowed his car into the traditional Rose Monday carnival procession in the small Hessian town of Volkmarsen on Monday afternoon, drawing a massive response from police and emergency services. The incident came just days after a racist gunman killed 9 people with migrant backgrounds in Hanau, also in Hesse, prompting fears of a repeat attack. But authorities have stopped short of calling the carnival incident an attack, saying the driver was himself injured and could not be questioned immediately after he drove into the crowd. Nevertheless, prosecutors in Frankfurt have opened an investigation against a gunman or German national on suspicion of attempted suicide or homicide. Eyewitnesses have described the driver plowing through the barrier in a silver car and driving straight through the crowd at high speed.
Meanwhile, in Hawaii, a stabbing incident took place Monday morning at a high school about 31 kilometers north of Honolulu, leaving 2 students injured and another student in police custody. Thankfully, one of the victims, a 16-year-old male, has been released from the hospital. The female student might be released soon, according to sources. Here's more details from Ron Hamilton. Ron?
Mililani High School had just wrapped up its annual carnival last weekend and was looking forward to a normal, quiet week. Unfortunately, this was not to be the case. At around 10:15 Hawaii time, Honolulu Police and Emergency Services responded to a call in which an older student stabbed 2 younger students, one male and one female, both 16 years old. The victims were rushed to Queens Medical Center in downtown Honolulu under serious condition, while the suspect was apprehended by police.
All of the students were circulating information around the school via Instagram, Discord, whatever they could talk to each other on. And I got wind of it because another one of my friends told me on Instagram.
The school said that they were going to go on lockdown until 11:30, and when it was 11:30, we would be released. Go through the PA.
These 2 students described what went on during the said lockdown.
Everyone, I'm going to assume that everyone locked their doors, closed up their blinds, and a few teachers apparently had to blockade the doors for extra safety.
Some of the teachers provided additional instructions, especially in preventing any noise that may attract the perpetrators and put the students in greater danger.
Yeah,
stay low, stay silent.
Yeah, be quiet for an hour.
From the end of recess, which was, I believe,
10:15.
10:15 until 11:30.
Yeah. Okay. So an hour.
With the help of mobile apps and social media, students were already suspecting that today's event was not a drill.
Because not only did, when the information was circulating, we also got the Hawaii News Now link, and as well as the
Star advertisement.
No, there was also a picture of the culprit outside of one of the classrooms.
Upon dismissal, students immediately crowded the sidewalks and crosswalks while parents were pouring in to pick them up, creating traffic in the process. Meanwhile, those who knew the culprit are still in shock of what he did.
I'm very angry because the culprit is the guy I knew. I know him. I don't know him personally, but I just know him as
Kind of mad
a very
too.
good friend. I just know him very well. We're both good friends, and he's a very calm guy.
Finally, here's what this young man had to say in order to prevent situations like this from happening again.
If there's like any conflicts, there's no reason to solve it with violence. Even though violence is not the answer, people will still seek it as an option in order to solve it. If people can just diffuse situations more rationally. Yeah. But even words can be conflicted with emotions. So even then, I just feel like it could have been done more responsibly.
Obviously, we need better security because the ones that we have, it's not as effective.
Yeah, we don't have many security guards at the school.
Yeah.
As a result of today's incident and investigation, Mililani High School has postponed some of its activities for a later date and will be providing students access to grief counselors over the next few days. The school has also encouraged parents and adult guardians to talk to the children about today's events and to encourage them to seek help if needed. Reporting from Honolulu, Hawaii, this is Ron Hamilton for Eagle News. I am one with 25.
Harvey Weinstein was convicted of rape and sexual assault, but acquitted of the most serious predatory charges, a verdict hailed as a historic victory by the #MeToo movement against sexual misconduct. Watch this.
It's a new day because Harvey Weinstein has finally been held accountable for crimes he committed. The women who came forward courageously and at great risk made that happen. Weinstein is a vicious, serial sexual predator. Good day.
From the very, very beginning until the very, very end, the verdict sheet is the most complicated verdict sheet anyone has ever seen. This is not Arthur Idala's opinion. This is legal scholars' opinion. So that's, the appellate lawyers think there are plenty of appellate issues.
No longer business as usual in the United States. This is the age of empowerment of women. And you cannot intimidate them anymore, because women will not be silenced. And now that the verdict has come back guilty for Harvey Weinstein, I will say once again, women were believed.
In a related news, Ambra Batiliana Gutierrez, a Filipina-Italian model, reported Weinstein to the New York Police Department in 2015 for allegedly groping her during a meeting at his Tribeca office. At the urging of the police, she wore a recording device for an arranged meetup at a Manhattan hotel and got Weinstein to admit on tape that he groped her and sought unsuccessfully to get her to come to his room. Now, after the verdict, she said that, quote, "This is the positive example that we were waiting for." Let's listen in.
This is a positive example that we were waiting for. From this moment is history. You know, like you read about this today, and you're going to say a powerful person was brought down to justice, and women like me and anyone else, you know, can really, really live their life right now. So I am happy. It happened to everyone. Everyone is it could be in this situation, and so don't think in a selfish way. When you speak about what happened to you, it could help other people, and so do it. And now I am trying to build a safe environment so that I could help you as well. That me and all the other women and many other people are really working to pushing into a change, and this is what we are trying to do.
In Berlin to attend the premiere of the documentary series Hillary during the 70th Berlinale International Film Festival, Hillary Clinton denounces President Donald Trump as a danger to democracy and defends her scathing comments about former rival and new Democratic primary frontrunner Bernie Sanders. Clinton also warned that Russia would once again try to influence the presidential election in 2020 and said she would back any candidate taking on Trump.
Well, we know it's already a problem. I mean, that's what just happened in America. The intelligence community reported that the Russians are back in our cyber systems and trying to influence the outcome of the primary, and also still trying to support Trump. There is no debate. Anybody who tries to deny it is living in a dream world, and it's a sad dream world because we're letting our defenses down. You know, politics is a contact sport. I mean, people say all sorts of things, because they certainly have said all sorts of things about me. I'll support the nominee of our party because I think that you know, our current president is a clear and present danger to democracy and to our future.
A former U.S. Secretary of State who beat Sanders in the primaries but ultimately lost to Trump at the 2016 U.S. presidential election said the new documentary would tell the real story of her political career.
Well, I think that the documentary does an excellent job in looking at my personal and my public lives. I think the director, Nanette Burstein, was very effective in doing that. And part of it is, you know, having someone who you admire and believe is honorable and honest, like Nanette, to do the film because I think it's important to tell the real story and not allow a lot of the, the myths and the crazy, stuff that goes on to be in any way taken for the truth, because it's not.
That's beautiful.
Hi, Secretary. We'll be back with more news right after this break.
Innovation, digital disruption, globalization. Startups, micro, small, and medium enterprises, as well as large corporations, all face interesting challenges in the market today. Peek into the world of exciting opportunities and partnerships to drive growth with the latest business news and information. We are open for business. Join the conversations to create a more vibrant environment for entrepreneurship. Catch Open for Business every Saturday from 5 to 6 p.m. Open for Business, from vision to action.
President Donald Trump failed on Tuesday to strike any major deal with India at the end of a visit big on photo opportunities but short on substance and overshadowed by deadly riots. Speaking after talks in New Delhi with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the U.S. President said only that they had made tremendous progress towards a comprehensive agreement and that he was optimistic, quote, "We can reach a deal." Take a look.
It's a warm hug. We are in the early stages of discussion for an incredible trade agreement to reduce barriers of investment between the United States and India. And I am optimistic that working together, the Prime Minister and I can reach a fantastic deal that's good and even great for both of our countries. Everybody loves him, but I will tell you this, he's very tough.
The great Indo-American friendship. While minor compared to his trade war with China, President Trump has slapped tariffs on Indian steel and aluminum and suspended duty-free access for certain goods in an effort to cut the $25 billion U.S. trade deficit with Asia's third biggest economy. Under pressure to deliver ahead of elections in November, he has pressed for greater access to the vast Indian market of 1.3 billion people for U.S. dairy producers, makers of medical goods, and for Harley-Davidson motorcycles. But Prime Minister Modi, who has a lot in common with President Trump with his Make in India mantra, echoing Trump's America's First slogan, has responded with higher tariffs on U.S. goods, including $600 million worth of Californian almonds.
A policeman was among at least 4 people killed in New Delhi on Monday during violent clashes over a contentious citizenship law. Local media said hours before U.S. President Donald Trump arrived in Indian capital for an official visit. Protesters torched at least 2 houses and shops before later setting a tire market on fire. The Press Trust of India said local TV channels showed plumes of black smoke billowing from buildings. The new law has raised worries abroad, including in Washington, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants to remold secular India into a Hindu nation while marginalizing the country's 200 million Muslims, a claim he denies. The latest unrest erupted between several hundred supporters and opponents of the law in a Muslim-dominated area of southeast Delhi on Sunday and continued Monday. Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia tweeted that schools in the capital's northeast would be shut on Tuesday and exams postponed. Trump arrived in the western state of Gujarat on Monday and addressed about 100,000 people at a rally with Prime Minister Modi.
The new coronavirus outbreak is depriving Paris hotels, restaurants, and retailers of big-spending Chinese visitors. The latest challenge for a French tourism industry facing headwinds from homegrown protests and Brexit, according to officials. For now, airline forecasts suggest a 60% drop in Chinese visitors for February, March, and April, compared with the same period last year, according to Valérie Presses, president of the Île-de-France region that encompasses the French capital. Around 950,000 Chinese visited Paris last year, making them the fifth largest source of tourists by nationality, according to the CRT Regional Tourism Committee. But they were the second biggest spenders overall, shelling out 1 billion euros on hotel rooms, restaurants, museum visits, and even shopping sprees.
The United Arab Emirates on Tuesday suspended all passenger and cargo flights to Iran in what it said was a precaution against the new coronavirus. The move came as Gulf neighbors Kuwait and Bahrain announced 9 new cases of COVID-19, all of them people returning from Iran. Over the past 2 days, Kuwait and Bahrain and Oman have reported 18 cases of the novel coronavirus for people returning from pilgrimages to Iran. Bahrain's health ministry said 6 people, 2 Bahrainis and 4 Saudi women returning to the kingdom from Iran via Dubai had tested positive for the deadly virus, raising the total cases to 8. Kuwait, meanwhile, reported 3 new cases among Kuwaiti men who had been under quarantine in the Emirate after returning from Iran, bringing the total number of coronavirus cases there to 8. Oman reported Monday its first cases of coronavirus. 2 Omani women who had returned from Iran. The 3 countries have large Shiite Muslim populations who frequently travel to Iran to visit holy shrines. The Islamic Republic announced on Tuesday 3 new deaths from the virus, raising the total number of fatalities there to 15 people. UAE has already announced 13 coronavirus cases, all foreigners, including an Iranian couple who had traveled from Iran. Kuwait has canceled celebrations for national holidays on Tuesday and Wednesday and also scrapped all sports events to counter the spread of the disease.
Meanwhile, South Korea's key industries are being hit hard by the COVID-19 cases there. The Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention confirmed 144 new infections, taking the tally to 977, the largest national total anywhere outside China where the virus first emerged. Our EBC correspondent in South Korea, Hanani Sabado, reports.
As the epidemic phenomena continues to worsen in South Korea, its major industries are on high alert due to the burst of COVID-19. Samsung Electronics has temporarily shut down its operations in Gumi. One of its employees was confirmed to be infected on Saturday. The operations resumed on Monday afternoon, followed by taking quarantine measures. LG Electronics also confirmed that its research center in Incheon had closed down from Saturday to Monday due to the fact that its employee's child was confirmed to be infected. Hyundai Motors, nation's largest automaker, is on alert as well because of supply disruption in China and also to the recent death of an employee of one of its suppliers in Gyeongju. The nation's retail industry suffers the most at the current situation. Huge retailers such as department stores, supermarkets, duty-free shops, and outlets have also shut down temporarily after visits of COVID-19 infectees. At current, the nation's government is exhorting efforts to accommodate small and mid-sized companies affected by the widespread epidemic. This is Hanani Sabado, EBC correspondent from South Korea, and I am one with 25.
Dozens of Jakartan neighborhoods are flooded after torrential rains pounded Indonesia's capital, bringing parts of the city to a grinding halt. The latest inundations comes less than 2 months after nearly 70 people were killed in some of the megacity's worst flooding in years. There were no immediate reports of casualties after the latest deluge, but parts of the city ground to a halt as whole neighborhoods were swamped in muddy water while power outages hit some districts. At least 81 neighborhoods were inundated with a dozen toll roads closed and some commuter train lines shuttered, according to an announcement by Indonesia's disaster mitigation agency. Floodwaters in some districts were as high as 127 centimeters, or that's 4 feet. A low-lying city is prone to flooding during the wet season, which starts around November.
And low visibility, cars with fog lights on and ghostly silhouettes in almost deserted streets. Mauritania's capital, Nouakchott, was covered on Monday by a thick cloud of sand and dust, which extended as far as Senegal. Take a look.
A tearful Michael Jordan on Monday remembered his little brother Kobe Bryant at a star-filled memorial in Los Angeles for the basketball great and his daughter Gianna, who died with 7 others in a helicopter crash last month. Watch this.
Oh, I cried with him. It's very sad. It's a tragic loss, and, you know, we're all hurting as fans. And
it's still hurt right now to this day, so it's not going to be necessarily cleared and just something to think about like it never happened, but it happened, and it's hurting right now.
All right, Japan suspended its football league on Tuesday, making it the latest sporting victim of the deadly coronavirus with just 5 months to go before the Tokyo Olympics. All J-League and Cup games were postponed until mid-March as Japan joined China and South Korea in putting domestic football on hold in a bid to stem the outbreak. At least 156 people have tested positive for the virus in Japan, along with nearly 700 on a cruise ship that was quarantined off the country for 2 weeks. But the advance of COVID-19 is raising concerns about the Tokyo Olympics, which are expected to attract millions of spectators and tourists. Take a look.
私どもは現在の話をさせていただいております。まだ東京五輪7月でありますから、その状況について今とやかく言うことではなくて、まず今に対してこうしてほしいということを基本方針でお願いをしていこうということであります。現在下船をしている25名について PCR 検査を行うということを申し上げました。まだ全部検査 一応拭ったとは聞いておりますけど、拭ったって検体を採取したとは聞いておりますが、まだ検体結果が出てきておりませんので、引き続き船内でですね活動している職員もおりますから、その点を踏まえて、いずれにしてもまずは防御対策の徹底、あるいは特にマスクを外したりですね、あるいは手袋を外したり、そういった時に感染が起こりうるという指摘もありますから、改めてそういったことも含めて徹底を図っていきたいと思っています。
Third graders from a Tokyo primary school experience what it is like to be a blind athlete in an event marking 6 months to the Tokyo Paralympics. They put on eye masks and pair up with classmates to learn how blind athletes compete in the games.
東京のパラリンピックは表彰台の一番上に乗って金メダルを獲得できるよう頑張っていきたいと思います。
応援しに見に行きたいと思いました。けれどもきっとダメだときっとチケットをもらえなくてできないと思うので、テレビの前でもいいから応援したいと思いました。
Kyodo News Agency said organizers of the 2020 Tokyo Paralympics on Tuesday marked 6 months until the opening of the games. Athletes and officials commemorated the milestone with a ceremony at Ariake Nishi Gakuen in Tokyo's Koto Ward, one of the elementary schools selected for the Tokyo Metropolitan Government's Paralympic Supporting Schools program. Around 110 third-grade pupils formed the numeral 6 in the grounds of the school, which has been conducting Paralympic-focused activities aimed at helping children better understand and the lives of people with disabilities. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr. Also check out our boards in Pinterest and pictures on Instagram. I'm Sam Cepeda. Thanks for joining us.
And that's the news for tonight. Join us online and here again tomorrow evening. Excuse me, from all of us here at Eagle News, I'm Alma Angeles and
we're one with 25.